Garchu in this week's episode of One Piece. Sanji takes complete advantage of mink tribe culture by completely abusing the Garchu custom. Basically, Sanji has officially confirmed that he's okay with the furries. And honestly, who can blame him? The island of Zou is filled with all types of sexy animal women. Furry jokes aside, this was a very simple episode of One Piece, which is continuing to tell the backstory of how the Straw Hat Pirates saved the Mink Tribe, and getting to learn a little bit more about why Sanji is no longer on the island of Zou. It's also apparent that the island of Zou has this big kick me sign on the elephant's ass, because the goons of the Emperors keep showing up. Before we already had Jack just completely decimating the country, next we have the Big Mom Pirates arriving. It looks like both Capone and Pekoms have arrived, and Pekoms has one hell of a homecoming, and that's because he actually is from the island of Zou. That's right, Pekoms. That's right, don't get out of your seat. Pekoms has returned, everyone's favorite sunglasses-wearing turtle lion. Pekoms, of course, is extremely pissed off to learn that his country has been destroyed by Jack of the Beast Pirates, and is confronted by a lot of his old friends on the island, which is a really nice scene, because he gets in on all of the Garchu action. Speaking of which, I think my favorite scene in this entire episode had to be the fact that Sanji was completely taking advantage of the fact that he can use Garchu to get closer to the Mink Tribe's women. It's funny, it's hilarious, because the Mink Tribe are so oblivious to it, because to them it's just such a normal part of their custom. It's also really funny that he's only doing it with the female members and not even getting close to any of the males, and of course that's because of Sanji's raging libido. He even tries to use the Garchu technique on Nami, but just ends up getting his ass handed to him. Big shock. Sanji and Brook take it upon themselves to confront both Pekoms and Capone, and in a very strange act of kindness, Pekoms is so happy to see Sanji, and Garchu's the crap out of his face, thanking him for saving his country and his friends. And he's even willing to look the other way, because they're actually there at the island to not only get Caesar Clown, but to also take care of the Straw Hat Pirates. But he's going to tell Big Mom that they never saw a thing. Now, this does not sit well with Capone, who, in an almost instantaneous motion, decides to instantly gun down Pekoms in front of Sanji and Brook. This machine gun fire starts coming from his hand. Pekoms gets completely lit up as we move into our to-be-continued screen. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of One Piece? A very simple but very satisfying episode of the series. I'm really glad that we got to see the return of Pekoms and Capone. These are two very interesting characters, and of course it's always cool to see another member of the Mink Tribe. You know, we already have Beppo from Law's crew, we have Pekoms from Big Mom's crew, and just seeing them interact with their old friends has always been really fantastic. You can't take the Garchu out of the Mink Tribe. That's what I think is so great about them. And the fact that Pekoms just has such a ridiculous and silly design that you just can't help but kind of fall in love with the character. His big afro, his sunglasses, and the fact that he blubbers like an idiot. But Capone was just plain ruthless in this episode. When I was reading the scene in the manga, it didn't have as much impact as it did here. Maybe it was the voice acting, the atmosphere, maybe it was just how quick it happened. But Capone actually not even thinking and just instantaneously attacking Pekoms is scary for a number of reasons. One, it shows how brutal Capone is, but it also shows that he does not want to cross Big Mom. This is one of the Emperors, and Big Mom will certainly live up to her name, I assure you, when we finally get to that arc. I would be afraid as well. You do not want to cross her. She's a whole lot of woman. That being said, that's really all I have to say about this week's episode. There were certainly a lot of silly moments from Sanji taking advantage of the Garchu stuff, and the fact that Caesar Clown does not like the fact that everybody sees him being a good guy. And is it just me, or does he kind of like fit in with the Straw Hat Pirates, despite the fact that he's kind of like a mad, evil scientist? He almost seems like he could be a crew member if he actually managed to not be such an asshole and villain all of the time. His interactions with Sanji in particular are very funny. So yes, this was a solid episode of One Piece, advancing the Zou arc and giving us more insight as to what's going down with Sanji. Pekoms has returned, and just as soon as he returned, he has been gunned down by the evil Capone. I can't wait to see the next episode, but this one right here was pretty damn fantastic, despite the fact that that not that much happened. The first half of the episode is pretty much just more of reminding the viewer what's going on, telling the story about the Straw Hats. I also really love the fact that Brook is playing his guitar as he's telling the story. It doesn't do much, but it adds a little more gusto to an otherwise okay scene. That being said, this week's episode is going to be defined by that final scene with Capone just gunning down Pekoms right in front of Sanji and Brook. It was intense by One Piece standards, and this was a pretty damn good episode, so I'm going to drop a 4 out of 5 on this one. Check it out, One Piece fans. You might see something you like. If any of you did watch this week's episode, make sure to tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below. Did you guys get any laughs out of Sanji running around the Mink Tribe Kingdom trying to Garchu every female he could run into? What do you think about Capone killing Pekoms right in front of Sanji and Brook? And what do you want to see from the rest of the Zou arc in One Piece and beyond? Please tell me in the comments section below. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. I really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe, leave me a like or a comment or two. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby!